So in this video, I wanted to share the very first presentation I gave as a PGY-1 resident. So if you weren't aware, public speaking is actually one of my worst fears, and it's a skill that I have been working on over the years and still working on to this day. Maybe I'll talk more about that in the future, but for now, I wanted to share one of the first, actually the first presentation I gave as a PGY-1 resident because of how terrible my presentation and communication skills were at that time. Specifically, this was in relation to an incident in which I did a poor job of communicating my recommendations to a physician, and my mentors at the time thought it'd be a good idea if I went through this exercise to work on my communication skills. And it definitely was one of those stepping stones and an exercise that helped improve that. With that said, I hope you guys enjoy the presentation. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'll be presenting a quick presentation about effective communication. I created this presentation using Prezi, and it was also my very first time. For those of you who are unfamiliar with it, it can best be described as a moving presentation. I had a lot of fun making it, and I hope you enjoy it. So to begin, we know communication is a very important, and as a pharmacist, it is a foundational tool to providing patient care. For example, pharmacists provide counseling to patients. As one of the most trusted healthcare professionals in the US, it is important to include several key points when speaking to patients, such as introducing yourself, explaining the purpose of why you are there and how long your conversation is expected to last, showing empathy, and answering any questions they may have. Additionally, many of us communicate with physicians, nurses, PAs, and Ps on a daily basis, especially those of us in the hospital setting. In this era of complex medicine that keeps getting, well, more complex, it is imperative that we communicate professionally and with clarity to provide a collaborative working relationship in the best interest of our patients. Now, I would like to show you 4 simple yet key ingredients that I believe will allow us to be more effective communicators. First off, Stephen Covey said, "Seek first to understand, then to be understood." Communicating is a two-way street. We got to go into conversations with an open mind and also give the other person a chance to express their opinions before we should exert our own. Like Larry said, when you are having a conversation with someone, listen like it was your first date. Put away the cell phones, the tablets, and just learn about the other person through what they are saying. They will notice the difference and be more inclined to give you the same level of attention. Avoiding interruptions is another thing, and is a simple but common mistake of many. Even our celebrities run into this dilemma quite often. It's not only being more attentive and a better communicator, it's a common courtesy. Lastly, show that you have a genuine interest when speaking to someone. Even if you were forced to initiate the conversation, for example, to a doctor or a nurse, regardless of your prior experiences or what you have heard about them, showing interest in hearing what they have to say and their thoughts about your recommendation will help to develop a professional relationship that is based on respect. Thus, the very first key ingredient is listening. Moving on, we are all familiar with the phrase, actions speak louder than words. That holds especially true when it comes to conversing with another individual. The movements and gestures that you make, no matter how small and how unnoticeable you may think they are, can tell a whole different story to the other person. Simon Cowell doesn't have to speak before a contestant is done performing for us to know that he thinks someone should consider a different career. On the other hand, people of different cultures may act a particular way or do something that may be different than what you are used to. As a firstborn American-born Chinese or an ABC, I've always wondered why Asian people are always mad and yell when they talk. But from my Asian side, I realized that it's just inherent in their culture. Although growing up, it was sometimes difficult to differentiate when someone is mad. Nonetheless, it is important to be culturally mindful on this topic as well. Finally, One of the most basic actions humans do when communicating is smiling. When you smile, you are perceived as being more confident, more inviting, and you are more than likely to make the person you are communicating with smile as well. It's rather contagious. As a matter of fact, a study found that a smile plus a frown resulted in smiles from both sides more often than not, and children on average smile more than 400 times a day. It's no wonder why we can't help but smile when we are around kids. These all represent great examples of nonverbal communication. However, sometimes, especially during residency, more often than not, you will find yourself very stressed. But similar to fever and inflammation, stress can be beneficial in the short term. It can give you that additional push you need to overcome a project, study for a test, or get draft manuscripts done in time for ASHP. I like to call this efficient stressing. Keep in mind, though, this is not the state you want to be when communicating with other individuals. We talked about this yesterday, emotional hijacking. If you or the other person you want to communicate with is in this highly stressful and potentially agitated state, you want to avoid communication and come back at a better time. Go take a light walk around the block, read something, and just think as positively as you can. Meditation works pretty well and allows you to relax your mind and focus your thoughts more clearly. Even the Hulk can do it. Why can't you? If you're unfamiliar with this picture, it is Bruce Banner meditating to control his anger, his emotions, and stress. The whole takeaway from this section, and the third key ingredient, is the ability to manage your stress. Finally, take it from Michael Jackson. It all comes down to the way you feel. Your emotions can quickly change the tone and direction of your conversation, and your ability to manipulate and understand that piece is critical to effective communication. To do that, however, you must understand yourself. Know what things can really set you off and what things really just put a smile on your face. If you have that piece of information, you will have better control of the conversation and not get emotionally hijacked. It is also key to what we do as healthcare professionals. If we can't control our own emotions, how can we begin to care for others? It is the ability of knowing oneself and having a good understanding of it that allows us to be empathetic individuals and simply human beings. It is without a doubt, this last area is having emotional awareness. And these are, in my opinion, along with the research of others, that are the four key main ingredients to effective communication. Thanks for your time.